CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. We're back, and this guy on screen, you might recognize him. He has been on CMMS Radio before. It is Tyler Hufstetler. He is Director of Partnerships at MaintainX. Let's be real, people. MaintainX is a juggernaut right now. That is not a virtue signal. I used to be in the industry. I watch this shit closely. Tyler, welcome back to CMMS Radio, man.
Thanks, man. Hey, Greg, love being here. Love hanging out with you. Love chopping it up. Happy to connect here today. Let's get after it.
Absolutely, man. So the thing we want to get into today is I've been watching, I see things hit the feed. I'm mostly focused on LinkedIn, and I see all these things come out about these cool partnerships that are built around integration. And I kind of want to steal a term that Nick Haas and I talk about a lot, and that's the connected ecosystem. And this is this thing that I've watched for about, I'm going to guess 1 to 2 years, where you're really focused on building that out. You guys were part of the Friends of Nano production we did at SMRP last year. I can see on the website some of the, names rolling by that you're working with. But instead of me calling out all those names, I want to kind of just leave it to you. Tell me about some of these awesome partnerships and why they really matter.
Yeah, Greg, here's one of the things that I love about my role here with MaintainX, about the team and the growth. So let me just kind of set the stage for a second as I just think about that in general, is that, MaintainX, or let's just talk real fast about industrial operations today, right? Whether you're in food and bev, if you're in building materials and aggregates, if you're in process industries, discrete industries, industrial operations have historically run on these islands of data, these silos of information, and you're really dependent on a guy getting his work order in, figuring out if a machine is broken, doing rounds, doing all this other stuff. And maintenance and operations carries the brunt of everything inside that business, right? Because if production stops, cash flow stops, and then everybody's upset. So MaintainX as a solution is really built as that mobile first, user-friendly, focused on high adoption features, right? Like we're really built for the frontline workers to actually go out and execute their daily tasks, to execute their work orders, to understand what assets are performing, what assets are underperforming. So over time, as the product has grown, our company today is a little over 14,000 customers. We have, we're knocking on the door of 900 employees. So just crazy scale, 60 million work orders. A lot of that information, I just kind of like use to set the table of, you have a lot of information. So the natural transition for us in the next phase here is really doubling down on things that make our users' lives better. So we have 1 million users today inside of MaintainX. What do we need to do next in order to really double down to get the information in their hands and help them execute the work orders, to help them understand not just reactive work orders and reactive maintenance, but getting into the predictive side and understanding stuff before it breaks. So that is a background for why we're really going after a lot of these partnerships within the connected workers or inside the connected IoT space. So as we think about that world, we have to be able to ingest that information. Look, data comes from vibration sensors. Data is going to come from SCADA systems. It's going to come from MES systems. It's coming from all over the place. So when we think about the solution of MaintainX in general, is we want to be the most partner-friendly solution on the market, full stop, because we recognize that there's a lot of data sources. So we want to get all of that information flowing in. And so we want to go out, we want to build those relationships. We want to make ultimately our users' lives easier. And when we do that, we make adoption high. So really to close the loop on that is we have been going after the partnerships that drive adoption. So once our users, once our technicians are inside of MaintainX, they're not having to go to 5 different silos in order to say, hey, what's the work order coming out of the ERP? Hey, what's the vibration sensor telling me over there? Hey, what's the SCADA system over there telling me what's happening? You want to bring that in there, right? So everything that MaintainX does is focused. It's hyper focused on getting adoption and making a product that is usable, that is able to be scaled across the organization. And so that's really why we've gone after these partnerships in general.
Well, I think when we imagine this overall concept, regardless of how far we go back with CMMS, maintenance management systems, EAM, all of it, right? Let's not get stuck on that. But we've got these systems that are really all about the front line. And the reason we say that and chirp about that so often is that's exactly where it can succeed or fail, because low frontline adoption creates the kind of blind spots that are really no different than what silos do. And the more we can know, I'm not saying that we need just every single piece of data. It's got to come in contextually. You've got to do your basics right. We're always going to remind people of that. And then when you get to those complexity layers where, all right, we're doing all the right stuff, now we need to get these data silos communicating so that we increase the visibility into usable data, contextual data. So that's where I wanted to ask you a little bit about, because it seems like you're fairly selective in the partnerships that you're seeking.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get an idea around, is it clients you encountered that said, hey, we have this, this, and this, and we would like to get those things communicating? Or was it more like, hey, we see this opportunity here. Can we reach out to them? They're great to partner with because they understand this stuff and they work with those frontline teams as well. Or was it both?
So one of the things is, as we go out into the market and we're looking at various solutions to want to partner with, it really comes down to what are our customers using, and are we seeing high adoption of that product in an overlapping customer base, right? So if there is a high adoption of a certain vibration sensor company, say like weights as an example, or there's a number of other ones. If we're overlapping on these customers, and if us working together makes our joint customers' life easier, then we should absolutely 100% figure out a path to work together. So we should develop that integration between the platforms. We should take that to the other locations inside that organization and say, hey, here's the joint value proposition. Because at the end of the day, if our customer doesn't want to use the product, then they're not really a customer, right? So like we want to drive adoption and high adoption of MaintainX. So we are hyper focused, like we are laser focused on driving high adoption and making sure that the partnerships that we build matter at the end of the day to our customer. Because if they don't value it, then we should 100% redirect our efforts to doing things that matter to them. And that really kind of comes back to that ethos that I was mentioning at the beginning, which is we've been from day one focused on usability, user adoption, making sure that the product is there, that we're making our customers' life easier, that at the end of the day, they're like, man, I am so thankful that MaintainX is there for us and is shipping new features to us, that is there for us when we call, that has great customer service. That's what we are laser focused on. And the rest takes care of itself from there.
Yeah. And I think that's that bit of intention that I always get excited about, because obviously we have companies because we want to, solve some problems, but we're in business to make money. But there's a way to kind of close that loop so that everybody's doing well and thriving in that environment as a way of what they're investing in. Because I personally, regardless of if I had never been in the CMMS industry, but I have anything to do with maintenance, facilities, or anything like that, when we do these things, even something as what seems simple as janitorial on a building or Sure. at a campus, those are things you invest in. And too often for organizations out there, it's hard for them to paint that picture They see it still as a cost. And that's just a common thing that's going to be a resistance point. But when you turn the corner the way you just described, and you've got the solution in place where they're leveraging work orders that come from asset generated or anomaly detection generated PMs or interventions, some kind of mitigation work order, or you've got demand work orders, you now need to see what else that's connected to. So you already referenced SCADA. So I'm thinking like ignition. You're going to touch the MES and some of these other systems that inform the entire organization. And that starts to bring maintenance up into the view or that picture for the entire organization. I wanted to talk just a little bit about that because you have to talk about that a lot with your clients and your internal teams when it comes to how and why this makes a better likelihood of organizational adoption, like at the boardroom level, at the C-suite level, where, that's not just a cost, that's an investment in our organization. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So foundationally, depending on the level that we engage at, really foundationally, it's streamlining operations, right? And how are we streamlining operations across a number of sites or number of locations within that customer? And it's really closing the loop on whether it's that asset performance, the anomaly detection, the information that's going to come from Ignition, right? We're the only ones that are partnered with Ignition. We have the easy button integration for them, right? That comes in. Customers love it. High adoption rate amongst our customer base for that. And so being able to ingest that data, streamlining operations, being able to identify what's happening and where is extremely powerful. Now, to up level that, to take it to the boardroom, the executive teams, why is that important? It's important because at the end of the day, there's a few key value drivers that we see for a lot of companies. Obviously, production is name of the game. So if they have downtime, anything that's on their production line, things, alerts, triggers that are coming out of Ignition into MaintainX, being able to identify when something's going to fail before it fails, they're getting a massive cost avoidance, right? So they're able to get that cost avoidance because the production line doesn't fail. They're able to distribute the work appropriately to the right team, close the loop. So the production and operations teams, the operations leadership team, love that from that side. On the finance side, really they're looking at a lot of P&Ls, right? Like that's what they're doing. Every location has their budget. Every location has its own P&L. So what are the things that really matter on the finance side? They want to know, what is the total cost of ownership for this particular piece of equipment? Why am I spending all this money on spare parts at certain locations? Why do I have all this excess spare parts at other locations, right? How do I help compress this cost over time, right? What they're trying to do is figure out, hey, how do we help compress our numbers, compress that, because they're getting margin compression, from the customer side to their supplier side. Prices go up, so they're getting squeezed on both sides of that. So really hard for manufacturing today because you have a very savvy consumer or you have a very savvy supplier that is able to read the market and understand where and how to price their products. So what do they have in their kit what levers can they pull? The levers that they can pull is they can say, hey, what's our spare parts spend? Right? What are the assets that are consuming all of our time? Why are we over ordering constantly on these other things? Because all of those spare parts sitting on that shelf is money. It's money not being spent. So being able to identify the high frequency used parts, being able to identify the assets that need to be retired because it's consuming too much time, being able to leverage MaintainX to identify the anomalies in performance, and really bringing to the forefront, I'm going to say it for the first time in this, AI, really bringing AI to the forefront though for our operators, giving them modern tools that are helping, that are just intuitive, easy to use. That's what the boardrooms are asking. The boardrooms are asking, how are we leveraging AI? We're saying, here's how you leverage it. You know where and how you're spending your time. where and how you're spending money on parts, where and how assets are performing, right? And so foundationally for us, as we look out there, is how do we help answer those questions for those executive sponsors inside, our customers? Well, we need to go after the data. We need to partner with a lot of our sensor partnerships. We need to go after the OT partnerships, right? We need to go after the industrial data ops in order to go after those guys, be able to help them send that data to someone to execute and then record that. Because now that's giving that executive sponsor at that upper echelon the ability to definitively say, here's what we're spending, here's why we're spending it, here are the levers that we can pull in order to be better, here's what we should not do, or here's what we should do, right? We're arming them with the information to make the right decisions.
Yeah, and that's so foundation set, you got people moving in the right way, behaving in the right way, you've got technology that comes in, gives them better visibility, standardized data, people are following protocols, they're preferably bought in on the process. They're not like, oh man, I got to go look at another work order, but it's more like, this matters, this helps us with this, and this. And then as you start connecting it, I like to say lately, from the floor to the board.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a little plug for an awesome workshop I'm hosting at Reliable Plant Conference with none other than MaintainX and Weights. So I want to get into that. But now, when you take it up to that layer that you're describing within the organization that starts to really see this, they can understand that value a little bit better. At least that's the idea. I mean, we can show them, you can describe it, you can do it. And there are plenty of times people in the C-suite, they're like, yeah, that's fine. They're not going to dive in and really understand it. But what people often forget is they're so busy, they've only got minutes to spare. And we don't love that, but they got a lot of other stuff to do. I want to switch it into a little bit more about Weights.
Yeah.
Because I know them. I get to see them at a couple of different conferences per year. Mark Kincaid, great fella. Hopefully you've met him or talked to him. And he's going to be in that workshop helping us kind of interpret that piece. We've got Ozella coming in for the MaintainX part. And it's going to be a lot of fun, right? I don't know if you'll be there, but I'm curious how, I remember when the announcement came out that you guys partnered with Weights. And I was also talking to people not on the podcast where I couldn't say anything. Like, I knew about it. But now I want to talk specifically about that one, and how that really makes an impact, because it's popular. And I don't mean like fancy schmancy stuff, but a lot of people are leveraging these two pieces of technology within their organization. So did you make that happen, or did it come by way of somebody else?
So we have a great team here within MaintainX on the partnership side, and Marcel and Danny have worked very closely with the Weights team to help get this through and here over the finish line. I've been fortunate to know some of the guys there from when they were much a smaller company, and when we were much smaller too. Just overlapping lives and some of the paths. A couple of the guys and I were in the Army together, and so it's been a great relationship to really see flourish. And Danny is really helped on shaping the vision and the direction, and Marcel is right there helping on the GTM, on the go-to-market motion here with Weights. And we have a fantastic engineering team in the background that's collaborative. That's, again, because our mission, and vision is like, we want to be the most friendly solution on the market. And so they are great guys to work with. I think we really, we see a lot of potential here, and it's already, paying off with early customer wins. Yeah. The common thread with Weights customers in general and MaintainX customers is, they really want to detect early that piece of equipment. They want to be able to act fast on it, and then they want to be able to close the loop with it, right? They want to identify the anomaly in the performance. They want to be able to act on it, close it out, resolve it, move forward. And so it definitely makes life easier when the two parties are there together and they're like, hey, how do we make our customers' life easier, right? How do we help deliver more value to them instead of like new features and, oh, we're going to roll out this and we're going to roll out. It's like, no, we start with the customer. We say, what does the customer need? And then we work backwards. And when Waits and MaintainX are doing that together, it's a great relationship and something to be modeled for sure.
Yeah, and I bring that one up not just because of the workshop.
Sure.
It's because even way back in my day, if we can call it that, customers needed, wanted, and sought out integrations, but they were much more challenging at that time to deliver. And I'm not saying legacy days, but if a system is, 15 to 20 years old, that's still in the modern era, but it was really challenging 15 or 20 years ago compared to right now.
Yeah.
We, like this industry, can move so much faster, but there's a little bit different sense that I'm getting specifically as I watch the MaintainX journey. I get this interesting, I guess I'm going to say, sense of far less concern about competition in the marketplace, and even a willingness to say, yeah, there's room for everybody here. We're doing this, and this. We don't really want to hurt you. We want to help the industry. And I think what I'm dancing around is, it feels like in the last 1 to 2 years, there might be a little more openness to holding up some of those perceived competitors, like rather than just winning against them. I know this is a really weird kind of question, but am I reading that right? Where it's more like, we're not worried, not because we're arrogant, but we're not worried because they need to be part of this industry. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's, and just, I think the only thing that MaintainX, we show up to work not looking over our shoulders, but looking ahead and looking at what's in front of us.
Yeah.
And that is a mentality that is from our CEO all the way through, all the way down to me. And it is, we are here to compete against ourselves. The only thing holding us back, the only thing that is stopping us, is not because of anything that's happening in the marketplace of our competitors, but it's us. And so we are who we compete against. We show up every day ready to get to work and looking for the opportunity to constantly be better, and measuring our success against us. Like we hold a standard, we hold ourselves to that standard, and we're very direct and candid about it. And when we're underperforming against our measurements, against our products, that's what we care about. And so I think that, we see a lot of consolidation in the market and other things, and we're just, we can't be concerned and constantly be looking over our shoulder or be trying to look over the fence and see what somebody else is doing. That's us.
Yeah.
Like, we go fast. We care about what's in the things that we can control, and we execute. Show up every day, ready to get to work and execute.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's if we, anybody does that on a day-to-day basis, sure, maybe once in a while you might be pushing really hard and you got to back off a little bit. But I think of this concept, and I've been talking about it a lot lately. I think on the podcast, but in lots of conversations, I think about the NFL. You happen to be physically in a place that is near a place that's, close to my heart, right?
That's right.
I don't know if you can see, I don't know if the hats are still up there. I might have taken them down, but NFL, we'll skip the team names, but the NFL, they compete, right? But the NFL is a big organization that shows up for the fans. It shows up for the fans. It generates lots of money, fun, all this kind of stuff. Now, game time, we're competing, but I notice, and I've always noticed, at the end of the game, during a game, you have competitors coming up to each other saying, "Hey, yeah, how's the wife? How's the kids? Yeah, I miss hanging out with you, brother." Whatever it is. And I always think this is possible for the industry of maintenance technology and CMMS, or whatever you want to call it, where people can sometimes be like, "Hey, we're here for all of you, and we'll compete at game time. We'll compete when we're on that deal. But when we're showing up together, the industry just improves. In other words, we're not slinging mud. We don't need to bother with that. We're going to focus on our own personal performance for all of you.
Sure.
And I think I've had a lot of conversations with Nick about this stuff where we're talking about the industry as a whole. And
Yeah.
I love to ask people stuff like, well, out of all of your competitors, who this, that, or the other. And I don't share info between companies with the other companies because I wouldn't want that for myself. I don't do that crap. But there's this idea that we were talking about where he really wants everybody in the industry to succeed. And that's why I keep harping on that. Anyway, the improving 1% a day, 1% a week, competing against yourself is the way. Because it doesn't matter. You're one of as a company. You do what you do it really, really well. So that's the approach everyone should take. And I think they're trying. Some people are getting it wrong. Can you share, I'm kind of jumping around here. Can you share any newer or about to be announced partnerships with these different integration partners that nobody knows about yet, or you got to kind of hold back?
Yeah. I want to be cautious because the marketing team might be upset with me.
Yeah.
And so
how about no names, but maybe why it matters, what it does for your clients?
Yeah, I really see us going after and soon to be announced more of our OT. There's IoT and there's OT data platforms, right? And so the expansion of those and really moving fast with a lot of the condition monitoring platforms and going deeper on some of the use cases with them. Those have been extremely beneficial for our customers. High adoption, a lot of value delivered, and for the cost of what they're already paying. They're integrating two platforms. That's great, and so we're really delivering a lot of value for them. So I really think on the IoT OT side, we get a lot of carryover and maintenance, talking around fleet. And so we have a great partnerships within the fleet space, on the fleet sensor stacks. Some more of those things are coming out soon. And, really within our ERP partnerships too, we'll be making some great announcements here this quarter, in and around that space as well. And so there's the ecosystem surrounding MaintainX is flourishing, and we're connecting the wires. We're making it happen for the end customers, and they're getting excited about it because they're getting a product that is moving fast, that is functional, that gives them the ease of use of everything that they would expect, And so, I got to tell you something, Greg. Like this is probably the most exciting time for me and all of MaintainX has been the last quarter and a half, just because of the growth, the opportunities, the ability to leverage partnerships and going deep with them. This is a genuinely, you're going to be blown away by some of the exciting things that are going to be coming out here over the next quarter.
Yeah, I might know some of them, but I can't talk about them because those are discussions in confidence. And
talk about burying the lead.
Well,
all right.
I don't try to hit any marks, but man, it's I think what you guys are doing is great. I think it's great for the industry. I think it's great for your competitors because what's cool about the competition in the marketplace is, as a provider, those providers, they have things to look to, right? Where could we do something differently? Oh, maybe that's something we should consider doing. And competition is necessary, right? And as you continue to grow over the years and cover so much ground, frankly, more than anyone. And look, I get reports from other people. I'm not talking about from clients, but people that study the market, the overall marketplace. So we really know. I don't just say these things, but I'm excited for what the future holds. I hope we get to do this again, maybe later this year, because if it's some of that big deal stuff, like you're saying, we got to get those announcements out. Is there anything, and I don't always do this, but is there anything you would want somebody to take away from this episode, just knowing where you're at now and why they should be looking to MaintainX or even getting in touch with you to work on something?
Here's what the takeaway would be is, and I'm biased because I come from the partnership side.
Of course.
Is we want to be we want to drive extremely high adoption, not of just MaintainX, but when we go to partner, if that joint customer of ours is using another system and they're not already partnering with us, that other third party, we need to be hearing directly from the customer or hearing directly from that other company, or us finding them and saying, hey, let's figure out how we can work together to drive value for the end customer, right? We want to drive value and make Joe's life easier because he's not having to go around to 10 different things. Because Joe has work that he's got to get done. He's going to go and he's going to execute it, and then he's going to go back to his family. And if I can help him get back to his family on time consistently because he's able to come in and execute, then that's a good day for us. So we want to be able to go out, build those partnerships, drive that value, deliver results for our customers, and make sure that our users, our million plus users, I'm so proud of that. Our million plus users are able to go out and get back to their families on time and consistently because they know what they need to do, where they need to do it, when, and why.
There it is, folks. It's Tyler Hufstetler, MaintainX, Director of Partnerships. Thank you, brother, for being here with me. And I encourage everybody to check you guys out. And anybody going to Reliable Plant, use this code CMMS10 to get yourself a discount, because this workshop that I was telling Tyler about, and he already knew about it, it's going to be really cool. It's not going to be your typical workshop. It's going to be a CMMS radio thing. So thanks for being on CMMS Radio.
Thanks, Greg.
You got it. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.